Welcome to FPL Selection. Today we'll take a look at my current wildcard draft for Game Week 3, but first a quick look at how we got on in Game Week 2. So 48 points for the week was a bit disappointing considering I was on a free hit. I got caught up in some last minute tinkering and decided I should get Haaland, even though I said in my last video that I felt that Frank would set up Spurs in a similar way that he'd done with Brentford a few times before and sort of, made it very difficult for him in the game. And that's basically what happened. If I'd have stuck with the draft that I had on last week's team selection video, it would have been on 74 points. So obviously quite a difference. Did a few similar things last season where I'd sort of make last minute decisions and change plans that I'd had for, sort of been stuck on for most of the week. So yeah, I think for me, this is a lesson learned that I just need to stick with my early decisions, go with my initial instincts. If I've made a plan, I'm sort of happy with it for most of the week, just not to get swayed by last minute decisions. So in the end, it was just clean sheets for Ryan Truffert, 12 points for Gyökeres, and 12 points for Saka as captain. I did beat my non-free hit team by a few points, so I'm not going to complain too much, but I think looking at the positives, I've had 2 captain returns in 2 weeks, so yeah, it's not been a big disaster. Just could have been a lot better. So now keep moving forwards and yeah, try not to think about it too much. So looking ahead now to game week 3, I've decided to activate my wild card. I had too many weak picks in my squad, at least sort of 5 of the main 11. I didn't really want any more. Obviously the injury to Palmer as well. It just made sense with only having 1 free transfer. I wasn't really going to fix it easily. So if I'd waited 1 more week, I just don't think I would have gained much more information. I'd have probably missed a few price rises and drops. So yeah, I've decided to go ahead with it. It's definitely difficult picking a wild card after just 2 weeks. There's not really a lot of information to go on. It's not sort of really clear which players are going to be the ones to rely on for a long period. So I think what I've tried to do is I've tried to pick defenders with good DEFCON potential and clean sheets, so that I don't need to change them, for hopefully until the next sort of wild card and potentially 16, 17 where the extra free transfers come in. And I've tried to sort of pick reliable players from good teams. And I've got a little bit of flexibility. I've kept $1 million in the bank at the moment, just to give me a potential to move a few pieces around easily without needing too many transfers. But I guess the main picks in this side were Salah. I think they've got some good fixtures coming up with Burnley and Everton after the Arsenal game. Salah's returned in both games so far and really not looked like anywhere near his best. So I think that can be a good sign sometimes that, even when he's playing badly, he's still getting the points. So he's definitely a captain option for the next sort of 5 weeks. He's going to be at least 2 or 3 weeks. I think he's going to be a consideration. So it makes sense to have him in. Gone for Bruno Fernandes. I said in pre-season I wanted to captain him for this game week 3. So I am going to stick with that even after seeing the Grimsby game. So I think United at home, they've got to put that right. And, against Burnley, we've just got to put on a good performance and a few goals and just put everything to bed, I think. So Fernandes has got so many routes to points. He's on penalties. I'd be amazed if they took him off penalties after just that 1 miss. He's got the DEFCON potential, assists. He's on set pieces. So yeah, maybe a little bit expensive at 9 million, but I think I planned to have him in for this week and I was going to have him for the long term this season. So let's put him in now and give him sort of 5 to 6 weeks and see how things are looking at United. Watkins was definitely going to be in on this wild card as well. Villa have got great fixtures for at least the next sort of 5, 6 weeks. Obviously, they haven't looked very good so far, but I think a player like that who's proven to score goals in the past, likely a good chance he's on penalty still. So I think I'm not too keen on the Crystal Palace fixture, But after that, they've got Everton, Sunderland, Fulham, and Burnley. So that's 5 games for Watkins. You'd imagine he's going to score a few in those. So I'm going to give him a good sort of 5 to 6 weeks. And then I've ended up on Mateta as my second striker. I really like the Palace fixtures. Villa away is a fixture they've done well in previously. Obviously, Palace like to play on the counter, so I think that's a nice one. Obviously, Mateta's now on penalties, definitely with Eze leaving. They've also got Sunderland and West Ham in the next 3 weeks, and Liverpool home game, which they're more than capable of getting a result in, as we've seen in the Community Shield. So yeah, I think there's a nice little run there. I've talked about my history with Mateta before, so yeah, I'm going to give him the next sort of 5, 6 weeks as well. Then the other sort of midfield picks, we have Reinders, 5.5. Just seems to make sense to keep him for a little while. Nice cheap City midfielder. I think he should play most of the games. And obviously in that first week we saw, what he's capable of. So yeah, no reason to get rid of him. I've got Palmer in at the moment, and that's obviously injury dependent. We'll see what the news is. If he's only going to miss the 1 game, then I might just keep him there and bench him for this weekend. Um, but just seeing if he's going to be clear of injury, really. I think he's been injured for the first 2 weeks. So, we can't really judge his performance in that first game if he was carrying a small injury. But yeah, just going to see what the news is on him. If he is out and it's maybe more serious than we thought, then I have got a few ideas lined up. Potentially getting in a third striker and cheapening that spot, and then wait for him to come back so I can just do 2 transfers to bring him back in if I want to. But yeah, just going to see what the injury updates are on him. But if he's going to be fit, I probably will have him in. And then I've got Anderson there as another 5.5. Very good on the DEFCONs. Forest have got some great fixtures coming up, so there's a chance to have some attack and returns too. They've got West Ham, Burnley and Sunderland in the next 5. I'm not expecting a great deal of attack and returns from him, but I just think he'll be a nice, cheap one that will tick over week by week and even potentially could become my first sub if I upgrade elsewhere. So he's in for now. I'm not overly excited by it, but I am trying to have a few sort of steady picks this year where I'm not going to worry about changing them. I'm just going to take the sort of 4 points if he gets the DEFCONs, a few assists here and there, and yeah, not overthink that spot. But that one is up for debate at the minute, so going to see where we end up at the deadline. Potentially could be a 6.5 if I can find one that I'm sure on, but I'm sort of struggling with that at the moment. So I'd rather keep the money in the bank and potentially spread it somewhere else if I need to. And then in defence, I've gone with sort of 3 DEFCON players, and obviously Saliba has the high clean sheet chances being an Arsenal defender. Tarkovsky's numbers on the DEFCONs have been really good already, and Everton had a lot of clean sheets the last couple of seasons. So there's a nice base of 4 points there in a lot of weeks, and then obviously a good chance of clean sheets. Nakura the same. Palace have been a great defence ever since Glasner's gone in there. I think there was the 3rd or 4th most clean sheets, something like this. The defensive stats are very good for Palace. I'd still love to have Munoz because he is just so much fun to watch. But when you see Lacroix is getting these DEFCON points every week, he could get 4 points every week and never keep a clean sheet. You'd be happy with that for 5 million. And he's a real threat at set pieces too. So I think, I like the 500,000 save in there with Lacroix. And as I said earlier, Palace have got some decent fixtures in the short term. I've got Petrovic in goal at the moment. Just a 4.5 keeper I thought had the best fixtures for a little while. I'm not certain on that. I think I'd much rather spend the money and get like a Raya or maybe a Pope. Just a slightly better team with a more reliable defence. But for now, I'm just keeping that spot at 4.5, I think. But that's one I'm going to sort of debate up until the deadline. That's definitely not set in stone at the moment. As you can see from my bench there, it's sort of very, very cheap. I do have that million in the bank, so I might just upgrade one of the defenders there to a 4.5. There's a few I've got in my mind at the moment. It's Tosin at Chelsea, Vandenberg at Brentford, and potentially one of the Bournemouth centre backs as well. All of them are really good on the def cons, so they could be a nice first sub to have there. But yeah, there's no real nothing special there on the bench. I think they're the obvious picks: the Dubravka and the Steve from Burnley, 4 million each. Sunderland defender Alderete, I've gone with the centre back there, 4 million, and Guiu might get into the lineup at some point, 4.5 million striker. But again, I'm just hoping I'm not going to have to use any of them very often. And if I end up upgrading one of the defenders, that'd be a nice first sub there, I think. And there's not many other players that I'm considering at the moment. Like I said, I want to take a closer look at some of the 6.5 midfielders. I think Sarr at Palace might be an option if I don't go for Mateta. And I do like Semenyo at 7.2, I think he is now. Might be a little bit too much for him, but one I'm looking at. And then Kudus would be another one. I'm not overly keen on him, but I would like a bit of Spurs attack. Just not sure you can trust Richarlison's going to stay fit for sort of 5-6 weeks and keep his place, especially with the Champions League coming round. Just don't really know which way the rotation's going to go. And then I suppose the other striker I'm looking at is maybe Strand Larsen at Wolves. Looks like Newcastle aren't going to get him now. So potentially he could be staying at Wolves, 6.5 million on penalties. He's going to be their talisman. I think those are the nice players, the ones you can just sort of set and forget and know they're going to score most of their team's goals. So I think he will be that unless they make some more signings. Then the downside, I guess, is that Wolves aren't the best team. So are they going to score enough goals to justify that? We'll have to see. But I think for that price, it could be really nice to, free up a little bit of budget and maybe get another top defender in as well. Maybe another Arsenal defender or Raya in goal potentially. So yeah, I've got a few ideas. I think this is fairly close to what I'm going to look like come the deadline. Probably sort of 5 or 6 other players outside of this, but I think the structure is kind of close to what it's going to be. And I don't think I'm going to go for Haaland now. I'm just going to ride that out, I think. I was looking at the captaincy with Haaland, and I think it was only Burnley in 6 that I would, rate him as the top captain. So just need to try and find a solution for that week. I mean, just looking at the players I've been going with, there's not really any standout options, but I guess by the time I get to game week 6, hopefully I'll have 3 transfers to use anyway, so I can put something right there if I need to, and potentially get Haaland in if I felt like I needed to. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.